Jaron Boots Ennis is exactly where he is supposed to be. In this video, I will break down why there's a bit of an overreaction to the Jaron Ennis performance, what that opponent was able to do with and to Jaron Ennis, and why it's not the big deal everyone think it is. Stay tuned. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Let's go. So like I said before, y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy JG. Come in, be so kind, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified. We're trying to make big moves this year, big sub numbers, big viewership numbers, and really give the fans what they're looking for from the boxing perspective. Let's get into it. Jaron Boots Ennis. So he just fought on Saturday. He fought against a Ukrainian fighter by the name of Jaron. Last name remains unknown because I've not taken the time to learn how to pronounce that appropriately. But in the bout, I did an initial breakdown, and I stated that this should be a showcase bout for Jaron Ennis. He should go out there and put on a masterclass and really highlight why his name is being mentioned along with some of the greatest of today, Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Bud Crawford, so on and so forth. But what we wound up getting was a 12-round affair, much to the surprise of myself and as well as many others. Jaron came out and he fought a style that had one goal and one goal only, and that was to survive and not get brutally knocked out and placed on a highlight reel of Jaron Boots Ennis. What Jaron's job is at that point in time is to see and realize, understand what's happening in front of him, rely on his corner for sound advice, and then implement any adjustments that are being identified and go out there and apply those in real time. So that didn't really happen for Jaron Ennis. I covered the fight live, and on the call, the one main criticism, as I've stated before, that I had was the perceived inability for Jaron Ennis to cut off the ring appropriately. Jaron was doing the same thing over and over again. One side adjustment, lead foot, pick that up, step to your left or right if you're a left-handed fighter, cut off that movement going that direction away from your power. And for whatever reason, Jaron Ennis just kind of followed him around, kind of tried to apply pressure in an inappropriate manner. What that created was a scenario where he was unable to really mount legitimate offense during the course of the bout. Things Jaron did really well, staying patient. When he had his opportunities, really working the body. He did hurt Jaron to the body late. I believe it was around 8 or 9. He hurt him to the point where he was walking around with his hands down in this position where he had been pretty sound defensively the majority of the evening. Jaron Ennis was able to invest the body and go there and make his mark there. I will put the CompuBox numbers up right now. It's a telling deal. Jaron Ennis did win this fight wide. It just wasn't what fans were looking for, considering the breadth of his highlight films. He destroys people. We understand that. Now, here's to the response of the outcome of the fight and the performance of Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is or was exposed. Jaron Ennis is a hype job. Jaron Ennis is not ready for Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Bud Crawford, and some of the bigger names in the welterweight division. I'm here to kind of dispel that and then meter essentially where our expectations should be when reviewing young, talented fighters like Jaron Ennis. I think Jaron Ennis and his team have done an effective job of building his resume, putting him in a position to be successful, have some highlight reels while developing in the background. I think the puzzle or the picture that Jaron presents to a fighter like Jaron Ennis is very appropriate for the time being. If you are running through everyone that you're fighting, you never hit a snag, how do you truly grow and develop? Coming away from this fight, my expectation for Jaron Ennis and team is to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, we did great in these areas. Let's put a pin in that. But where could we have improved? Not to say you would have got a knockout or stoppage, but how do we put ourselves in a position to continue to climb the ladder in the eyes of casual fans who maybe aren't familiar with me, so to speak, or outside of Philadelphia area? How do we continue to climb the ladder and show and prove I really am and truly am ready for a Terrence Bud Crawford style fight or a Errol Spence Jr. Style fight? And now that I'm on the topic of Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Bud Crawford, there's a reason why these guys are widely considered in the top 3 or 4 best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet. So to say a guy's not ready for that yet is totally fine and understandable. Jaron Ennis might need another step-up fight. Shout out to my man, Joseph Wooten. This is something that we've discussed at length at this point, the desire of wanting to see a Jaron Ennis in kind of a step-up fight first. In my opinion, the Jaron fight was not that fight. It just ended up being something more than we anticipated and what we expected from an unheralded, unknown guy from the Ukraine, came in crazy shape, committed to surviving, and stayed on his bike for the majority of the fight. But as far as Jaron Ennis is concerned, there is no shame in going out there, winning a fight wide, doing good work, not getting the outcome that we were looking for because we expect spectacular things, but now having an opportunity to really look at yourself in the mirror and say, cool, great, we ran through some dudes, got some highlights, knocked some dudes out. Where do we grow? How do we improve? How do we get better? If you're Jaron Boots Ennis, still very young, bunch of fights on the resume. Now it's time to really get into the lab. Shout out to Errol Spence, shout out to Derek James. Get into the lab and focus heavily on those areas in which you can improve. In my opinion, I would say the fundamental stuff. You're so good. You switched stances in the bout. You showed variety. Footwork could be a little cleaner. Defensively, because you were so eager to chase that down, you got caught with pot shots. Good 1-2s from Jaron, because he did a really excellent job of fighting off rhythm. If that's something I'm going to say he did well, is circle, 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 go left, go right. But then when he would set his feet, pop, pop, 1-2, it was off rhythm. He never had the same cadence from an offensive delivery perspective, excuse me. But with that being said, Jaron Ennis as my focus of this video. Go back to the drawing board, come back. I want to see another level of competition because I still feel like his talent and his physical attributes still are flirting with transcending that division, the welterweight division. Now, if he can't apply it, then he gets beat by guys like Errol and Bud Crawford. That's a reality, and it's not even shameful. But Jaron Ennis really got a lesson in himself on Saturday night and figuring out a way to be patient, utilize a jab a little bit more, cut off the ring. Outside foot first principles, it gives you everything. When they make the adjustment and you move back to your left or my right, it's a natural step outside of your stance, inside of your stance, deliver offense, don't watch your work, make sure your defense is sound. But I think it's a bit of an overreaction to say that Jaron Boots Ennis was somehow exposed. I think the only thing that was exposed is the fact that he has decent cardio. He didn't have a bunch of output from the perspective of having to really fight through something, but he has a good gas tank and he has things to work on. But I think he's right where he needs to be from a developmental standpoint. Perhaps we as fans got ahead of ourselves and bigging him up, but I think he's right where he's positioned to be. Quality fight against a quality opponent, and Jaron didn't go the way that you anticipated, but you learned a lot. Now apply those things in real time and come back a better fighter. I still see big things in the future for him. I would not write him off in any way, shape, form, or fashion. That's still an undefeated fighter with pretty much all knockouts. I think he has 2 fights that went the distance or didn't result in some sort of stoppage. But this is your boy JG. Let me know about the overall performance that you guys saw from Jaron Ennis. I think he's right where he needs to be. And to simply say that he may not be ready for a Bud Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. or a Yordenis Ugas or somebody like that, I don't think there's any shade or shame in that. There's some great fights out there to be made. Jaron Ennis is a young fighter climbing the ladder towards greatness. He may not be there yet, and that's totally okay. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. We out.